we go. Okay, and we're live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. This is like super close to my face. I don't know how I feel about that. Good morning. How are you guys doing? How y'all doing? Is it pretty over there where y'all are? It's like super sunny today. Not bragging for anybody who's not experiencing good weather, but it's super dope outside today. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna find something to do. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome. I'm gonna spend just a little bit of time. I don't know. Did my screen just go green a little bit? That's weird. Wait for a little bit for people to come in and then we'll get it started. I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. I'm not really awake yet. I stayed up too late last night, not doing absolutely anything. I just wanted to be grown, so I was just staying up Netflix and chilling by myself. Anywho, so let's get this started. I know you have a really busy weekend, or you might not have a weekend, but I want a busy weekend, but I want to make sure I don't take up too much of your time. So if you're new, welcome. My name is Alexandria Chill, and I am the writer and founder of the blog DP Taught Me, which is a platform that I use to share leadership tips and development tips for Greek life millennials. And so this month we had, also if you hear echoes because I'm in a really empty room, so I apologize for that if it's annoying. It was the only good place with lighting. So in the month of January, we have been talking about Greek life and leadership and mentorship since January is National Mentorship Month. And so I believe that mentorship is really important when it comes to bringing in new members, teaching them the ropes about how to not only run your chapter, but then also just helping them find a role and value in what they can contribute to everything that's going on. And so today I wanted to focus on 4 things. The title is 4 Tools of Competency for Greek Life Chapters. I know a lot of times, well, specifically within NPHC, and I think other minority Greek organizations, we have to know what excuses are, and we know not to give them. I'm not going to tell you what excuses are because I actually hate reciting what excuses are, but we try not to use them on a regular basis. Let me just say it that way. And so one of the things that I don't want chapters to do is use excuses for their lack of mentorship. Instead of complaining about how I see how this leader needs to be better in this area, or how or complaining about how so-and-so isn't getting something right. I'd rather give you tools to help you get to that level. So that's what we're going to do today. Sorry if I'm just discombobulated right now. So we're going to push through. So the tool number 1, again, the title is 4 Tools of Competency for Greek Life Chapters. The tool number 1 that you're going to have when it comes to mentorship is capacity. When you are taking in new members, or even if you have a current chapter, you haven't necessarily took new members, kind of take inventory of who's in there and figure out who needs mentoring and in what area. So I also have notes. If I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So you want to take inventory of who needs mentoring or who needs help in certain areas. You need to take note of how much mentoring or how much help do they need, and how often and in what capacity do they need it. Someone who is currently coming into the chapter, they're not going to know diddly squat about how to run a Greek life organization. They could be involved in a whole bunch of other student activities. And if you're in grad chapter, you could be involved in a whole bunch of other organizations, but it's not going to be quite like Greek life. Let me just tell you that from experience. And so they might need a plethora of knowledge, they need to learn and need to be walked through so that they can navigate through not only your chapter, but NPHC Council and Greek life just in general, on how to go about running things. So whether that's on a business standpoint or whether it's more so on a personal standpoint, and trying to figure out, how you mingle amongst yourselves, how you mingle with other organizations, especially if there might be some like really weird beef or discomfort or whatever. Like, how do you go about doing that while staying yourself and staying comfortable, I guess, in who you are, and then also making sure that you don't get caught up in a lot of drama and stuff like that. So they might need help in those areas as well. So you want to figure out what is the capacity of mentoring that they need. And then also you want to take note of, is there someone currently in the chapter who can help you approach those issues? And so if there is, cool. And if there's not, then you want to think of, okay, where are some places in which I can get this advice so I can help this person? Or where can I actually find an individual who can help them out in this area that I'm not necessarily competent in, or I feel like they would have more information and more valuable advice than I would be able to give. So, excuse me, identifying who those people are who need mentoring, how much mentoring do they need, how often, do you have someone currently in your chapter who can approach those issues and address the things that they need mentoring in? And also, if you don't have anybody currently in your chapter, then finding out what advice you need to give them or who you can bring in to help supplement that void. So that's number one. The number two tool, excuse me, is compatibility. All of my mentors have been, distant and like face-to-face mentors have been people who compliment me in the sense that we are very compatible as far as like our morals are concerned, our values, our interest, our drive. Excuse me. Those things really keep me going and keep me going to them for inspiration purposes. Now, when it comes to advice, I think a really good note for mentorship is that in addition to being complementary as far as like interest and hobbies and majors and things of that nature, you want to make sure there's a give and take in the sense that you're learning something from them and you're teaching them something as well. So I think those are the best kind of mentorship relationships, right? Because if you know everything, then you're just pretty much like friends or associates. But a mentor is someone who can teach you something that you don't know about or you need more help with. And so being able to identify, one, on like the surface level, what are their values? What is their character like? What are they interested in? Where are they going? If you either been there or you're heading that way, then you're already off to a good start. But what makes it a really true mentorship relationship is identifying those things that they need help in, and then seeing where you are and where you can fill those voids and how you can teach them something. And so you want to make sure that you're really compatible. I think a lot of times people confuse compatibility with like being the same person. And a lot of times, this happens especially like in platonic and romantic relationships. If you have someone who's exactly like you, a lot of times it doesn't work because y'all bump heads too much. And so compatibility isn't equated to being exactly the same person or having the exact same interests and hobbies and everything is just like picture perfect, mirror. That's not what compatibility is. Compatibility is finding someone who vibes with you, and there's a give and take to where you always feel like you're knowing something new about somebody, and you're always able to also contribute to their lives. So whether it's teaching them something from a business standpoint or putting them onto some new music that you normally don't listen to, like that's the give and take of mentorship and building like really authentic and genuine relationships. So you want to make sure that you are compatible. Now, my last blog, well, it wasn't really a blog. It was sort of like a blog. Oh man, I have to put in my password. In my last blog, I created I have to like put in my password, y'all. Created a worksheet for, it says Pro-Fight and Neos, but if you don't necessarily consider yourself a Neo, then don't know what to tell you if you haven't had anybody come in the chapter recently, but it's for anybody who feels like they need a mentor within their chapter. And so I created created a Profile and Mentor reference worksheet. And so what will happen is, and you can download that off the blog for you. It's free. And it basically is a semi-questionnaire kind of to give you yourself and your mentee a reference point as far as like who you are and how you guys are going to be compatible within your relationship. And so I'll go over that near the end of this session. So just know there's a worksheet for that if you wanted something tangible to work with. Okay, so we talked about capacity, mentorship capacity. We talked about mentorship compatibility. The next thing that we have is consistency. And I think this is, if not the most important, at least the second most important tool that that you could pay attention to. So you could understand how you're going to help them. You could really, really love the person that you're matched up with. But if you don't keep a consistent schedule, if you don't keep it consistent in the actual meetings that you're in, it could fall off really quickly. Just because no one ever knows where each other stands. We don't never know what we're talking about. We don't know when we're meeting up, how long it's going to take. So you want to make sure that all these components are as uniform as possible. So one, you got to be realistic with like your meetup times. So I know when people are fresh into trying to have a mentor, they're like, well, we can meet up. Let's try to meet up at least like twice a week for an hour. And you know, good and well, your schedule does not it does not allow that. So why would you say that? Don't be over optimistic about the time that you have, because our time is precious and it is limited. So in order to have a consistent working relationship, look at your schedule for what it is. That includes work. That includes your family if you have one. That includes other student organization. That includes your boyfriend/girlfriend/ whatever it is, significant other that you have, and the time that they may take up. That includes your gym time. That includes church. Whatever it is that's already in your current schedule, consider all of that. And once you get a realistic idea of what your normal schedule looks like, then start looking for the free spaces that you have to fit that mentorship time in. It doesn't have to be 2 days and an hour at each session. It doesn't have to be that. It could be a 15-minute call. Just like, hey, I'm checking in on you. You know, what's going on with you? If you can't meet face to face, it can be a Skype, or I know Facebook has like a little face chat, video conferencing stuff too that you can do. A lot of people have iPhones. I'm not fortunate to have an iPhone, but if you have an iPhone, you can do what is it called? I don't know what it's called. Face to face. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Basically, you can video chat with each other. So you have those capabilities to do that if you can't necessarily meet up. There's all different kinds of platforms out there. That FaceTime, thank you. You saw me struggling, Lord Jesus. Thank you. iPhone has FaceTime that you can use to check in with each other. So don't use, I can't meet up at this particular place at this time because I can't get over there. I appreciate it. You have tools to meet up. And so be consistent in how you want to meet up. So for instance, if you are far apart as far as like distance is concerned, then schedule a regular Skype or FaceTime chat. Maybe make it 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? If you have more limited time, then do like really quick 15-minute phone calls with each other. Maybe like once every weekend, you know, on a Saturday, early Saturday morning, just call that person and be like, hey, I'm just going to check on you about this, that, and the other. How's it going? Do you need any help? If you're the mentee side, you know, already have your questions and topics ready so that you guys can really get down to the nitty gritty. Not saying that you can't have small talk, because small talk is fine. But I think what a lot of times happens whenever you have mentorship relationships, you get so caught up in the small talk and the personal side of it that you never get to the development side. So you want to make sure that you have a balance. So be realistic about your meetup times and how you're going to go about meeting up. So whether that's FaceTime, whether it's phone, Skype, if you slide in somebody's DMs, not in a creepy way, but if like quick messaging is the way in which you can communicate, then do that. But make sure that it's consistent. Make sure that it's useful and conducive to whatever schedule that you have and the personality that that person might have as well. So be realistic about your meetup times. Be realistic about goal deadlines. So say if you meet up and you are helping someone trying to get their GPA up, say that, and you want them to have some kind of like working plan. And you're like, okay, so I need this by tomorrow at 5:00. I'm like, well, we just met. I haven't even thought about this yet. Like, don't set unrealistic deadlines for your mentees or your mentors. You guys have separate lives. They're equally, if not maybe like more or less busy. You know, you want to respect people's time. So set realistic goal deadlines as well. So that way, not only can you be able to follow up on those goals or deadlines whenever they're set, but you also have time to just like sit down, think about it, and figure out how you're going to talk and communicate and walk through the task once you guys sit down. You want to be able to be prepared for the meeting is what I'm trying to say. So give yourself ample amount of time to reach these deadlines, as well as look over what the goals are, what you're trying to achieve, and how you're going to communicate and talk about those issues. And so let's see. Oh, you also want to be very mindful of the duration of the meeting. It doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be like super long, an hour. It can be 15 minutes. It can be 30 minutes. But if you're going to set those time frames, make sure they're consistent. So say if you want to implement different kinds of meetups. So say you have a face-to-face meetup and you want to make sure that you have that maybe like once a month. Try to have that meeting within like a 30-minute time frame. So, or 45-minute time frame, that might be good. So that way, if you're like eating somewhere, you have like the first 15 minutes to do small talk and eat, and the next 30 minutes to really like work through stuff. So face-to-face, keep it 30, 45 minutes. If you're doing a phone call, keep it 15 to 20 minutes. Do a quick check-in, have your topics that you're already going to discuss ready, so that way you can just get into it. If you're doing text and DMs, I mean, clearly that only takes like a couple of seconds. But let me not say DMs, because DMs just sounds really creepy. I think of Yo Guy, and I just don't want my mentor sliding in my DMs. That's not cool. So maybe in like Facebook messaging or something like that, if you're going to do the text route. Keep that really simple, keep it to the point, but have reasons for using those kind of tools and those kind of platforms, and have it very clear as far as what the expectations are for those kind of communications, and just keep it consistent. So if face-to-face might be a little different depending on what you're talking about, but if it goes over like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, that's cool. But if it's getting into 2 hours, if you are really in a good conversation, that's cool. But the point of having like working meetings or mentorship like check-ins is that you have time to focus on the developmental side. Now, if you're talking about developmental side as far as like personal issues, then that's a little bit different. But you always want to make sure that you come out with something positive and tangible at the end of your meeting. So keep that in mind. So we talked about capacity of mentorship. We talked about compatibility within your mentorship. We talked about consistency. And the last thing that I have is conversation. Sometimes when you are in mentorship relationships, people can make it seem very formal. And sometimes it is, depending on who you're dealing with. But you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you're having a conversation. This isn't an interview. I'm not like trying to, well, I might be able to try to give you a job, but this isn't a job interview. Like, I'm not the president. You can talk to me. So make sure that whatever the conversation that you're having is very welcoming. It's very, I don't want to say warm, because some people aren't necessarily the most warm-natured people, but try to make it as welcoming as possible, as non-judgmental as possible. The whole reason for mentorships is due to the fact that you are either making some mistakes or you don't know what you're doing. So I'm coming to you for advice. I'm coming to you for knowledge. And I'm coming to you because I just really don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I need you to help me. So be welcoming, be non-judgmental, and make it just, I prefer my interactions more casual, just because I feel like I can open up more, and I feel like I'm more realistic with myself rather than trying to put on like false pretenses of what I'm trying to tell you. Like if I feel like it's super, super formal, I might have a tendency to like tell a little white lie when it comes to like things that I was supposed to do. So if I feel like you're super, super stringent and super scary and super formal, I'll be like, yeah, I got that done. No, I'm good and doggone well, I didn't get it done. So I think when you keep it casual, you're able to be your complete self and be like, yeah, I did not complete that task that you asked me to do. Instead of giving excuses, I'll just, hey, I just didn't feel like doing it. Or, I got caught up in some stuff and I just literally forgot. Or you might have been having problems trying to complete it. And having that casual, open atmosphere allows them to be like, okay, well, I can understand that. So this is what you need to do going forward to get this done. And the mentee would feel more appreciative of that kind of relationship, I think, rather than being just really like staunch and rigid and formal. For me, that doesn't work. It might work for other people, but keep the conversation open, keep it non-judgmental, keep it welcoming, and that will help you really create authentic relationships with your mentees, so not only as like a mentee-mentor relationship, but also like just build a really genuine friendship. So that's all I have for today. So again, the 4 tools are capacity, compatibility, consistency, and conversation. Those are things that you really want to make sure that you pay attention to whenever you're trying to build up your chapter, serve as mentors to your new members, as well as people who might have been there they're not necessarily be neos, but they've been there for a while, but they still need help in some areas. So these are some 4 things that you want to keep in mind while you're trying to build and elevate your chapter, member by member. This will really help you work efficiently, know exactly it is who you are, who your people are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and then approach those issues when needed and when necessary, and in a very effective and efficient way. So those are the 4 tools. And if you want tangibles out of this Periscope, let me get my computer before I have to enter in the password again. I have 2 worksheets for you that you can print out and give out to your chapter members or council members, however you want to do it. Preferably, that might be how you pronounce it. You want to do this either at the beginning of the semester or cycle, whatever. I don't know if you're a grad chapter or undergrad, but at the beginning of your cycle or at the end of the cycle. So whenever you're bringing people in and whenever people are going out. So that way you can take proper inventory of what kind of people you need on your team. So I have 2 worksheets. One is called the Prophyte Mentor Reference Worksheet. It has a picture of alphas on the cover if you want to look for it. Or matchup worksheets, I'm sorry. And so there's 2 worksheets, one for the mentee and one for the mentor. And the first part of the worksheet it's kind of like your job description area whenever you're applying for stuff. Just fill out your basic information so people can know, exactly who you are, what your classification is, your anticipated graduation, your major and minor GPA or average GPA. That you normally have. You don't have to put your current, but your average GPA. So people know exactly who you are, where, if you were to leave and they found benefit in like your major or your interest or like student organizations that you're in, they know to bring someone in who has a similar makeup as you. So that's what that information is for. And then near the bottom of the worksheet, you just go into things that really make the person. So that way, whenever you're matching up people, you can get someone with similar interests. But then you also see like where your mentee can balance out your mentor and vice versa. Or mentor can balance out the mentee and, well, still vice versa. So I have things on there like interests and hobbies for that particular person. They list out what they're really good at. They list out what they actually need help in. Hopefully everybody answers that realistically and candidly. They have a chance to pick out like 5 things that describe who they are and their personality. So that really gets into like the person and who they are. And then the bottom part of it just really helps them think about what they want to teach their mentee, as well as what kind of legacy that they want to leave at their school. I don't think a lot of Greeks think about that. Honestly, that was something that I was like paranoid about. Like who's going to like take on my torch, and who's going to be doing the marketing, or who's going to be doing social media or whatever. Who's going to be doing this? Because I think it's really important. And that's what I wanted my legacy to be. So just having to think, okay, so what are some things that I really wish that I learned early on in Greek life that I can probably teach somebody? What are some things that I really excel at currently in the chapter that I could teach somebody? What are some lessons or skills or advice that I would like to pass on? And then lastly, like, what are some expectations that I have for my mentee? Those are questions that they would ask. And then mentees have their own set of questions that they would fill out as well that correspond with the mentee worksheet. And so once they finish filling those out, they will give them to the exec board and they will review them and kind of match people up that way. They won't do their own matching up because they don't really know who has like what qualities or attributes or whatever. So exec board would do that and match people up accordingly. So that is for setting up the mentorships. And then I have a second worksheet called, let's see, Profile Neophyte Check-in worksheets. I had to check real quick. And they basically help the mentor and the mentee kind of schedule everything or keep all their information from their check-ins in one place. And so you have like the day and time that you met up. You can circle what kind of check-in it is. So if it's on a personal note, if it's school related, if it's chapter related, business advice or other, you kind of circle that to take note of like what are the conversations that we're having. Take note of what kind of check-in is it. So is it face-to-face? Is it a phone call? Is it Skype? Is it text messaging? Whatever. Take note of how you're communicating with each other. So that way you know which form of communication is conducive to your relationship. You also have topics of discussion. So a few lines to kind of jot down what exactly is that you're going to be talking about. And, and so you also want to take note if this is a casual check-in or if it's like goal-oriented. So if it's casual, you won't necessarily have any goals that you're trying to achieve at the end of the check-in, but it's just for someone to just talk and vent and get stuff out and get, maybe it's more so for the personal check-ins. For the goal-oriented ones, that gives you a mindset that you're really trying to get some things done within this particular meeting. So you want to take note of if that's the kind of meeting that you're having. And then you follow that up with, there's 3 boxes that you can use once you start getting your check-ins rolling. You have a box that says, since we last checked in, the first one is have accomplished something. So just start listing out all the things that you've checked off your list and that you've accomplished for the week and celebrate those. A lot of times we don't celebrate the things that we've actually gotten done. We just worry about the things that's still sitting on the to-do list. So celebrate the things that you've accomplished. You also have a box for progressed in. So these are things that we're not necessarily finished with, but we are making strides to finish it. And we want to celebrate those as well. It also gives you time to evaluate how you're going about doing things. So that way you can make it more efficient as possible when you start kind of breaking things down. And then the last box that you have is need improvement on. So things you're just really stuck with that your mentor can help you with or lead you to as far as like other advice or other people to bring in to give you advice on certain things. They're knowledgeable of those strongholds or those things that's keeping you pigeonholed and preventing you from moving forward. So those are things that you want to take notes of. And then what else do we have on here? You can jot down the problems and issues that you've had or that you're dealing with. And then also, not only that, I'm very solution oriented. So whenever you're going through your problems and issues, even if it might not necessarily be necessary to bring those solutions up at that point, jot down some things or plans of actions that person can do to approach those issues. And so if you feel comfortable enough to present those to them while you're in the meeting, that's cool. But if you know they're one of those people that need to like kind of simmer down and they're receptive of information later, then go ahead and slide those solutions and plan of actions to them later, so that they can use them at their discretion. So those are things that we have on the worksheet. And then you have a place to jot down what the mentor's deliverables are, or the tasks they said they were going to do, the mentee's task and what they're going to do. So that way you can keep track of what it is that you're contributing and what you're bringing to the table. And also gives you kind of milestones to see how you're going about your progress or if you're progressing at all. So that's on there. And then there is a check-in evaluation at the end that you would just do by yourself, not with your partner. So that way you can evaluate if this meeting was actually beneficial to me or that person. You don't want to just be sitting there chit-chatting about absolutely nothing, and then you get out and be like, okay, that was cool and everything, but I didn't learn anything or I didn't get anything out of it. So, maybe we should try a different approach the next time we meet, or if it's the same kind of interactions over and over and over again, you're like, well, maybe they're good as a friend, but maybe they're not necessarily good as a mentor. And so this worksheet will help you evaluate that. And what else do we have in here? Evaluate that and kind of help you keep tabs of how your mentorship relationship is going and making sure that it's beneficial for you. And then the last thing that we have on this worksheet is just a way to help you guys coordinate schedules. So we have the whole week fleshed out. You kind of write the times in which you're busy. And also if you're involved in other organizations, kind of write down your meeting dates and things like that. And then after you look at each other's like whole schedule, kind of pick out maybe like 3 proposed dates and times that you can meet up and try on all of those dates and times, and whatever works best for you, then pick that one, and that's going to be your set time, place, type of interaction that you have that's going to be consistent, so you know what to look forward to whenever you're meeting up. And then of course you have like all your contact information, so you can have different touch points in order to get in touch with your mentee/mentor. So that was a lot. I didn't expect it to be, but I'm still within the 30-minute mark. Yes, Jesus. So, if you would like to have those tangible worksheets for yourself and for your chapter, for your mentees, mentors, whatever you want to use it for, those are available on the DP Taught Me website. Just go to DP Taught Me. I think it's /DP Taught Me freebies, and you'll see it right there. Just click on the image. Click on the image and it'll take you right there. So I hope that you guys found this useful, and I hope that you got some really tangible tips from it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm all for trying to clarify things. I hope it was clear, and I hope I didn't ramble too much. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. We're on Twitter, Facebook. Everything is DP Taught Me. If you want to hit me up personally, my Twitter handle is MsChill_365. The same thing as my Periscope. So look me up, hit me up, let me know your questions, comments, concerns, and I'll be more than glad to answer them. And if you really like this information and you thought it was like super, super useful and you would like more information, feel free to like book me for a workshop or something like that. I prefer workshops over seminars because I like to be hands-on and like working with students and whatnot, or working just with, I should say, chapter members, because this could go for grad as well. So I like being hands-on with people and discussing and seeing where their mind is. So I'm all for doing workshops, but if you like me for a panel discussion or a seminar, things of that nature, I'm all for it too. So just let me know. Hit me up in the booking info and we can go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Stay tuned for February because we will be talking about relationships. Especially within Greek life. That's going to be interesting. I'll share a little bit of my experience. That should be equally interesting. But then we'll also be talking about Black History Month. Hey, so stay tuned for that. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And I will check you later. Deuces.